Hi everyone, my name is Sumant Movala and I am visiting faculty at Delphi Star Training Center. We are a leading and growing training institute in UAE, and we are also present in India and rapidly growing there. So uh, in this video, I would like to give a brief about FRM, which of in full form Financial Risk Manager. This is a certification which is catching up a lot of attention and a lot of demand lately, especially since 2008 2009 financial crisis. This has been a key word or the buzzword in the banking sector, and and there have been a lot of questions around it, and many people asking us what it is. Can you give us and help us understand what it means? And that's what we are going to cover in this video today. So just giving a brief on what is FRM. As I have already said, it stands for Financial Risk Manager. It is offered by uh, GARP, the short form it's called GARP, which is Global Association of Risk Professionals. The certification is provided by them, and as you can see, it has been there for quite some time. But since the 2008-2009 financial crisis, there has been a tremendous growth in demand for this certification. It has been growing at 15%. Probably people who are from the banking sector or the finance world, they know that any double-digit growth is something which you pay for. So nothing has been nothing has witnessed such a tremendous growth in the finance world. 15%, humongous growth. But the question is why? What is it? What makes it is so important and in demand certification while you have so many other things? The reason being, with various financial products and the way financial sector is evolving with latest implementations of technology and artificial intelligence and fintech coming around, there's a lot of risk which as a financial institution has to take care of. And unless and until you as a risk manager, you understand those things, how the world is evolving and what types of risk it provides to your organization or a bank, will you will not be able to take sufficient risk mitigation measures, and that's where FRM comes in. The FRM certification provides you a holistic view of all types of risks a bank or a financial institution is exposed to and how to mitigate that. And that's why FRM has been is a huge success in the banking sector. So, the question can be, aren't there anything, okay, if not for FRM, what were people doing before? How did they manage their risk? So why all of a sudden, if people were able to do then, why can't they do it now? Number one, they were able to do it before because there were no new types of risk. The prominent types of risk which banks used to face are credit risk and operational risk, which there are clear-cut defined methodologies to mitigate those risks. But that's not the situation anymore. The world has evolved, and so has been the risk that a financial institution face. So for that, you need to have updated knowledge on various things and how to, and it's always to mitigate this risk. Remember, anything that you do comes with a particular cost to the bank, or any financial institution, or any organization for that matter. The measures you take should not be just mitigating the risk, but also mm, should be cost efficient. With less burden on the pockets of the organization, you have to mitigate the risk in a most efficient manner. And all that knowledge and all that skill set, if there is a place, if you can earn all of that in one go in a most efficient manner, in a structured manner, that's FRM. And that's why even for organizations, when in the banking sector, there is the most problem is there is an information gap, because there are not certain types of risk which people banks don't know. They don't know if, if they have to hire a risk manager to handle such kind of risk. The reason being they haven't faced that situation, and unfortunately if the bank faces such situation, the bank won't be existing anymore. That's the problem in the banking sector. So that's where uh, for banks or these financial institutions, what they see is, okay, let's get in a guy who is FRM qualified. So he teaches us what types of risk our institution is going through or faces, given the nature of operations or the nature of the work that we do. and then take his help in mitigating the risk. That's a level of respect a FRM certified professional will get in the banking sector or the finance world. And obviously, the FRM being primarily offered by a worldwide recognized organization, there is a huge network of people where you can be collaborated with, connected with, share your knowledge, to discuss any new observations that you find. And because remember, this is something, the risk is something which keeps on coming up. It's not a clear cut defined list where you identify the risk and you provide mitigation measures and that's it done. No. If that was the case, there would be no reason for a bank to hire a risk manager or a chief risk officer, right? The risk keep on evolving, and so are you. So when you have to discuss certain things, you have to be discussing with a certain qualified people to have a valuable discussions. And FRM gives you a network of people. And obviously, with the knowledge and with the skill set, there is no depth to the opportunities that you have and your career progression. You keep on growing. And that's where, when the FRM, post 2009 crisis, when people realized there is a huge demand and there is actual value to the risk mitigation. Earlier, remember, the world was going slow. There was not a lot of financial innovation that was happening, and they didn't know much about the risk. They thought risk is something, okay, fine, there is, but we can mitigate. But only then people realize, okay, it's a globalized world, things change, and you need a risk manager. And surprisingly, no certification or the no degree has got such a valuable feedback that 9 out of 10 people who have done this certification have confidently said that this certification has helped them progress well in their careers and higher and better packages. 9 out of 10. That's humongous. No certification would have ever seen, at least in my 10, 15 years of experience, I have never seen any certification which has garnered that level of approval from the people. So, enough of understanding what or how FRM helps a certain person in his career. But what do you need to get these 3 letters next to your name, FRM? You have to undergo 2 exams, level 1 and level 2. And the topics are clear cut defined in FRM level 1 and level 2. There are 4 topics under level 1 and 4 subjects under level 2. Level 1 starts with risk management, which will teach you what is a risk, what is a corporate governance, what is a ERM, enterprise risk management, which tells us how a risk is managed within an organization. Enterprise would mean an entity or an organization. So what are the codes of conduct which you need to follow? What are the liquidity issues? How do they arise? And will give you all the fundamentals. Moving on to all the quantitative section, which will teach you about probabilities and mathematical models, estimations, simulations, how to quantify volatility. Remember, mathematical concepts are very, very important to the risk management because you are going to mitigate something which is going to happen, which didn't happen, which is going to happen. So it's a future. There is a probability associated with it. It's not, you don't know whether it will happen for sure. There is a probability assigned to what will happen. So how do you quantify it? Based on that, you will be able to set aside a certain money or take sufficient mitigation measure. So quantitative analysis is a key part for anyone who is looking into the risk mitigation career. And so there is a lot of emphasis based on this quantitative analysis in the level 1 FRM. And then it moves on to financial markets and products, which tells you about banks, how do banks operate, what are the mutual funds, what are the stock options, forex exchange, insurance, how are they uh, different to each other, and most importantly, how are they similar? Remember, the problem is it's easy to diversify or differentiate between 2 different kinds of businesses in terms of operations, but when it comes to risk, there is an interlinkage of risk, and that is the whole problem. When that risk gets triggered, because all of these entities and the businesses are interlinked, everything can go down at a time. So it's most important to understand not only the differences, but what are the similarities between these markets in businesses and products. And then moving on to the valuation and risk models. How do you quantify the risk? How do you model it? It's called value at risk. So what is or short form VAR? How do you quantify it? How do you stress test the models that you prepare and then accordingly give sufficient adequate measures, suggestions on adequate measures to your management? So level 1 gives you a thorough and a comprehensive approach to the risk. By end of level 1, you are half risk manager or more than that. And level 2 is where you will become an actual expert in risk mitigation and risk management. It will tell you based on, okay, you have developed the risk model, but have you thought of what are the risks within your model? Does your model capture all the elements? How do you, or if it is fine, if your model is thorough enough and you have two different models for two different risks, how do you integrate them? How do you manage your risk all together? uh, what kind of risk you need to take into consideration when you are making investment? What are the issues with your current financial markets? Remember, that's a key thing. No college education would teach you what are the current issues in financial markets except for FRM. You go for MBA, you go for CFA, you go for FRM, you go for CVM, Certified Valuation Modeler. There are many certifications. But FRM is one thing which captures current issues in financial markets, understands the risk, and then provides knowledge on how to mitigate them. So two levels with four courses all interlinked, by end of which you will have a good understanding of all the risk, how to mitigate, and you will be an expert in risk management. And that's why if you see who are the top employees of FRM, all banks, Bank of China, HSBC, Citigroup, and financial advisors or the consulting firms or the auditing firms such as KPMG's, Big Fours, Deloitte, EYs, and then uh, global investment banks. If you see Bank of China, HSBC, they are not retail. They are okay. HSBC is a part retail bank and a part an investment bank. Deutsche Bank, Credit Suisse, UBS, these are all investment banks. It's not just the retail banks. When I say banks, it's a general consumption. Okay, I don't want to be a teller in a bank or a general manager for a bank. No, a bank is much more bigger than that. A bank has, when we say bank is a broader term, which has retail banks and investment banks, and everyone needs a FRM guy. Okay. So how are these exams conducted? Level 1, level 2, as we saw, right? So both exams are each 4 hours long, and each exam is conducted twice in a year, May and November. Part 1 has 100 multiple choice questions, and part 2 has 80 multiple choice questions. Very simple. You do not have any case studies. They are not vignette based. They are not writing. It's simple objective based exam. But take it from me, these questions are very well conceptualized, and they test very deep your very deep understanding of your risk and risk mitigation techniques. So two exams, May and November, you clear them, and you are FRM certified. You have 3 letters FRM next to your name. So So that's it on the FRM. So if you have any further questions, if you want to know more about this certification, how the exams are done, how the course will be useful, and what kind of training you require, how well we train, and what's our expertise in helping you clear this exam, please feel free to get in touch with us, and we can have an elaborate discussion on that. Thank you.